Hello there and welcome to another tutorial here with flightsim. But today we are going to be taking a look at the beautiful Black Square Piston Duke, and we're going to see how we can get this aircraft started up from cold and dark all the way to getting it back for a decent landing. So this is a fairly advanced simulation. This aircraft is very well modeled, so we're not going to be going through all the little features and aspects of operating this aircraft. The idea of this tutorial is just to get you up and running with the aircraft as efficiently and quickly as possible, and more from a casual flight simmer's point of view. So it's going to be nothing complicated, everything straight down to the point. All right, that being said, firstly, if your aircraft spawns with the outside covers and chocks, we're going to have to remove them. Now you have two options. You can either remove them in the walk around mode like so, nice and simple. You can also twist the propellers, turn them around, make sure they are free and loose, or you can also do this from the tablet. Given that the covers and chocks are gone, let's go ahead and jump into the aircraft. All right, let's get rid of the controls stop there, and they go to this little pocket right here. We'll get rid of the yokes just for better visibility during the startup procedure. If we bring up the tablet, you can select a bunch of avionics and they each give you a different combination. This is my preferred combination that I like to use. A little bit of retro and something a little more modern up here. So you can configure them as you like. You can also select the option on whether you want to load this with the covers and chocks deployed or not. And in either case, you can control them from these buttons right here as well. So that's fairly straightforward right here. Now, this is a complex simulation. So right before I jump into showing you how to get this thing started up, we need to go over just a few things here. Firstly, if the temperature, the outside temperature is way too low, that is, you're having a particularly cold day, you might need to run the engine heaters. So if you press that from the payload tab here, this is what it looks like. You got a propane engine heater right here. Okay, that's in case it's a cold day. Now here today we are in Dubai and it is very, very warm outside. We definitely don't need them. Okay. These are the pages where you can monitor the engine conditions and the way they are functioning very, very accurately and in a very comprehensive manner. You also have the cabin pressurization and airflow details right here. Electric systems are also detailed. As for the failures, if you're interested in messing with that, you can do that here as well. So to start this aircraft up, before I do anything, I'll explain exactly what we are going to do so you guys have a better and easier time following along. Firstly, we need to run the pre-oiler. We'll start with the left engine today. So when we run the pre-oiler, you'll see this running up and you'll see oil running or flowing around here and lubricating and building up pressure throughout the engine. So that's the first step, and we're gonna watch out for that pressure here on this gauge here. We want it to be around that red mark right there or slightly above it. Then we are pretty much good to go. We're going to have our mixture on full rich, RPMs high, throttle slightly cracked open. Then we're going to turn on the fuel boost pump for the left engine, and that's going to get this right here spinning. We're going to have fuel from the tanks going into your injection system here. We're going to advance the throttles all the way to full. And we're going to watch our fuel flow here. We want it to be above or at least 55. So we're going to see how it spikes and settles. And then we're going to pull back our throttle to around somewhere here. Then we're going to come to our magnetos, set them on both, and then hold it in the start position. And hopefully the engine will start. With this aircraft, every engine start looks a bit different. So you might have to exert the starter a little differently every time. And that's not a big deal at all. So given that, let me quickly go through it so you guys have an idea of what I am speaking about. All right, first things first, let's start the batteries up here. There we go. Make sure that the fuel selectors are both in the on position, which they are for us. Wonderful. Next, you can see things are loading up, and you can let that happen. Let me just turn on the panel lights. Nav lights on, beacon lights on. We don't need any of the heats on right now, at least. Okay, that is fantastic. Good. Another thing to make sure before starting the engine is to ensure that the cowl flaps are open on either side. For us here, you can see that they are already open, but in case they are not, what you want to do is you want to hold these two as such. Now you will hear a noise, and when that sound of the cowl flap operation ends, you know it has gone to the position you've just selected. So for example, let me close it here. You can hear the sound. I've just opened them back up. So make sure they're fully opened. All right. So cowl flaps open here. Mixture to full rich, advanced. Throttle just slightly cracked open there. And I'm going to apply the pre-oiler and watch as the oil pressure goes up. Okay, you can observe the tablet as well as what needs to be done here as well. Okay, left pre-oiler is on. We're waiting for this needle to jump. There we go, we have the jump of the needle there. Look at that, it's right there by the red or slightly above, and we're good to go with the pre-oiler now, okay? Next, what we're going to do is we're going to get the left fuel boost pump on. So let's go ahead and do that. You can see that that's begun to operate there. Then we're going to advance the throttles. See the fuel flow rise, settle itself, good, and then bring it back down around here. We're ready to start the engines. Put the magnets on both. Engage starter. There we go. We have engine start. Okay. Now, once the engine is started, we have to make sure that the RPM remains slightly above 1000 or about 1000. So I'm just going to crack this open a little bit. Allow the RPM to rise above 1000. Now, if you don't do this, it is likely that you'll have deposits building up along your plugs right here, and you might end up with a situation where you need to clean the plugs. So that's something that we don't want. So just make sure you run it above the 1000 mark, which we are kind of at the moment. Okay, just slightly above. That's brilliant. Now you can turn off the pumps, turn off the pre-oiler. You don't need that anymore. Okay, fantastic. Now let's do the same with the right engine here. I'm going to advance the mixture to rich, crack open the throttle just slightly here, run the pre-oiler quickly. All right, I'm going to wait for the pressure here to rise. There we go. It's rising. Give the gauge a couple of taps there, and we are good to go with the oil pressure, which means we can go ahead and start the right fuel pump, the fuel boost pump right there. Okay, let's watch the fuel flow as I increase the throttles there. Allow it to just settle around, looking good. Bring it back down right here, and let's go and engage the starter. There we go. We've got a good engine start on the right side as well. We can turn off the pump, turn off the pre-oiler. There we go, good. Now we need to make sure that the RPMs settle. There we go. Looking much better there. Brilliant. Now you saw on the second start, it took a while to start and I had to hold it in, and that happens. That's perfectly fine. In case you're unable to start the engines in this manner, you just bring down your throttles. After you've run your boost pumps correctly, just bring the throttle down fully. Whilst holding the starter button, starter engaged, you just advance your throttle slowly and it will start. Okay, so it is not that difficult at all. So once the engines are going, turn on the generators, switch to the inverter there. Okay, give that a second. That should go away. It still hasn't here. That's interesting. Oh yes, we need to get a bit more of RPM going to get some of the master switch on there as well. There we go. I'll talk about the RPM in just a second. So once we do all of that, we just need to turn that on. Got all the warning lights off. Got our avionics coming to life. Weather radar, we can leave it on standby till you take off or are on the runway. Okay. Now, whilst this is happening, let's come to the cabin here for a second. Now, because this is an advanced simulation of the aircraft, you have to take care of the cabin pressurization and air supply here as well. Let's just get the GPS here, searching for our signals. We'll leave it there. Okay, good. Now, what do I mean? You've got the entire section here, which deals with various aspects of pressurization and controlling the airflow, as well as these two right here. Now, we need, since it's hot out on the outside here, since we're in Dubai, let's push it to auto cooling mode at the moment, which should get the AC running, right? But as you can tell, the AC is not running, the compressor is not running at the moment, and the reason for that is our RPM is too low. The AC compressor needs the right engine RPM to be at a certain level before it can be engaged. So what we're going to do is we're going to advance it to about 1250 RPM, and as you can see, the AC compressor will come to life. I'm going to leave both of my engines at a slightly high RPM setting. Around 1250 is enough. That is somewhere here to run the AC compressor. And you've got your airflow going on. Using this, we can control the cabin air, whether it's coming, whether the air is being injected from outside. You can see there is an inlet right here. So we can control whether the valve for that is closed or open. Right now it's open here. If we pull it in, it is closed. Okay, so that can be utilized if you want to inject air from the outside, or you just want to maintain the air that's in the system, or via the pressurization coming in from the engine. So for pressurization here, you've got these two controls, and if you pull them, you shut off the pressured air. If you push them in, you turn that back on. So that's very important. Make sure that they are turned in if you're going in for a flight above, a certain altitude. You've got your cabin altitude controls here. You've got ways to increase your air temperature. In case if you're flying really high up and the air temperature is very low and the heater can't keep up with it, if you pull on these knobs, you will gradually increase the air temperature. There you go. It gets instantly hotter, because it's no longer cooling the air that's used for pressurization. So that is, they're quite effective and powerful, so make sure that you don't overheat your cabin. Over here you can have an indicator for the cabin temperature, and right now it's telling us it is very hot in the cabin. Obviously it's 40 degrees Celsius or 105. So it is working though, it is cooling. In case the target air temperature, which you can control right here, see that? You can see the target air temperature. If it's not possible for the system to achieve your selected temperature, it will turn red. So it can't take us down to 18 degrees Celsius. The ambient temperature and everything else going on is just too much for the system to handle. So I'm going to go back to 21. You can also increase the speed of the vent blower here. That will help you increase the rate of cooling or heating, whichever you run. Okay, so that's just a very, very quick rundown of the pressurization system, nothing in advance at all. So we're going to put that away for the time being. Brilliant. So with all that done, we can put our flaps down to the first position there, ready for takeoff. We can run our taxi lights. We're not going to run any of the heats today. It's very hot, so if you want to, you can do that right before takeoff, not before that. So it would seem we are pretty much ready to taxi on out of here. While taxiing, you can pull the fuel mixture to a bit more leaner configuration just while taxiing, and then before takeoff we'll push it back into a richer mixture here. Okay, so having done all of this, we're pretty much ready for takeoff. I'm going to release the parking brake here, which is right here. There it goes. And off we go. Off we go. All right. So I will see you guys as we line up with the runway, and we'll configure this thing, final touches for takeoff. Okay, I have lined up here with the runway. There should be plenty of runway for us to take off here. Let me go ahead and turn on my landing lights, turn off the taxi lights, put the beacon lights to beacon and to recognition, nav light to strobe and nav. Yeah, that pretty much gets us ready for takeoff here. We can pre-select our altitude. Let me go towards 2,000 feet today, just for the purpose of this demonstration flight. Flaps are down, everything else is good. Mixture can go to full rich, RPM full high here. Throttle as required when ready. Now you can turn on the pitch trim, the electric pitch trim or electronic pitch trim in advance if you like. Make sure that you have it turned on before you try to engage the autopilot. You cannot engage the autopilot with this turned off. So for the purpose of today's flight, I'm going to turn it on here in advance as well. Our trim is actually in the green for takeoff. We are all set and ready to take off. Just a quick look at the cabin pressure. There we go, cooling down. Yeah, it is cooling down, so not a big deal. All right, so let's go ahead and take off here. We're going to pull up somewhere in this white bar, or right after this white bar we can actually pull up and we'll be up and out of here. We can put our transponder on if you like, or altitude reporting, whichever you like. You can have our weather radar on, or you can do that after takeoff as well. Brilliant. Release parking brake. Throttle. There we go. Engine's responding. That is great. And off we go. Okay, 80 knots. And we can begin to pull up. There we go. Gear up. Got 100 knots on our hand there. Can put our flaps up. There we go, nice and easy. Tune the heading right there. You can turn on autopilot if we like here, just to help us out a little bit. Okay. And while that is happening, we have to make sure that let's bring our throttles back down. RPMs lower here. Okay, need to cut that low. And we can pull back on our mixture, make it a bit more lean there. There we go. So, altitude alert, we're coming up on 2,000, that's okay. Now, the reason why we do what I just did right there, you cannot run the manifold pressure and RPMs on the red line continuously. You can do that during takeoff and landing, and when you need some extra emergency power or extra power to get yourself out of hairy situations. But beyond that, you cannot run it on the red line for too long. So while you're just casually flying like this, you must ensure that it's in a comfortable green range, which is what we've done. We've pulled back the RPM slightly, put the throttle to around 90%, and pulled back on the fuel mixture to lean as well. And there we go, we have a healthy aircraft functioning as it should, and we're climbing up in speed very rapidly here, so we can actually cut down the throttle further if we like. In addition to that, we can now close up the cowl flaps here. It takes a while, we have to hold it, and that will pretty much get it to close up here. Okay, if we go outside, cowl flaps are closed. Brilliant. There we go. Okay, and your aircraft is happily flying along here. If we take a look at the tablet, engine conditions are just exactly how we were when it started off. Everything is looking just fine. If we look at our cabin, it's cooling down rapidly, which is fantastic. It has matched outside air temperature at the moment, and looking good. All right, everything is looking good. And there we go. So if you want to change, you can obviously use any of these modes to control the autopilot. If you've got a course plugged into the GPS, you can turn on nav mode. You can pitch the aircraft up and down using this wheel right here. It is fairly very self-explanatory there. All right. Given all of that, if we want, we can turn on the pitot heats too right now, right? If we wanted to. So we can turn that on because it's quite warm outside, but we'll still leave that turned on. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is turn around and come in for a landing. And that'll pretty much cover it. So let me go ahead and bring the aircraft around for a landing. And we'll look at what we need to do to get this aircraft ready to land. Alrighty. There's the airport right there. So let's get ready for landing quickly. I'm going to cut the throttle to 50% just so we slow down. Okay. Cut it further as well. I'm going to put the mixture back to rich. Put the RPM back up. Bring our throttles down. Okay, that's great. Get the landing lights back on. Brilliant. Okay, get our aircraft to slow down. Going to take manual control here. There we go. Can get that pitch trim off. I'm going to put it in a more comfortable position for landing there in the green bar pretty much. There we go. Nice and easy. There's the airport ahead of us. Speed is slowing down. Got RPM up. Fuel mixture up. Looking good. Let's open up our cowl flaps here. Okay. Let's put the gear down. Cowl flaps open. Flaps down. All the way. And there we go. We're pretty much ready, ladies and gentlemen, to land this aircraft. Okay. Very, very nice. Obviously, I did that in a bit of a rush there, but you can take your time with the configuration. This aircraft is easily capable of flying quite slowly. To give it a bit more throttle though, I don't want it to stall. While landing, you can aim for the white bar here, just pretty much similar to takeoff. Around here is a good place to aim for landing. So for now, our speed is okay. This is how I usually like to approach it. It's nice, smooth, and easy. Okay. All right, final check. Landing lights are on. Pitot heats are on for now. Everything else is looking good. Yes, it is. There we go. Trim and stuff like that is off. Weather radar can come off. We don't really need that anymore. Okay, we can put that on altitude. That's great. Everything else is looking good. All right. Flaps down, gear down. We're ready to land this aircraft. Okay, I'm going to go for the closer runway to us. Bit of a hazy day today, but that's okay. Gotta keep an eye out on the speed there. It's a little on the low side. Gonna give it a little bit of engine power there. There we go, coming in nice and easy. Okay, gotta avoid those buildings. I'm just gonna slip a bit off to the right so we can stay a bit lower. There we go. And we'll slip back in towards the left. Perfect. Here we come in. Now this aircraft obviously does not need this giant runway, so throttle back down. Nice and easy. There we go. Very gentle touchdown there. Obviously, you don't need to be that floaty with your landing, but we have plenty of room in terms of runway length, so no harm, no foul. Okay, let's go ahead and open up our cowl flaps. Okay, we can put our engine RPM is still fairly high, which is good. We don't want it to be below 1,000 here. Okay, just slow this aircraft down a little bit. There we go. And before we turn off, can turn the landing lights here off, taxi lights on, nav lights back to just our on positions there. pitot heats can come off. We don't need that anymore. Brilliant. Okay, flaps can go back up. There we go. Good. Can turn this off if we like. Okay, let's take this exit. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. And we have landed the aircraft, just like that. I'm gonna head on towards the parking and then we'll shut this aircraft down. Alright, here we are at a parking. Oh, forgot to put the parking brake there. Alright, we've pumped the parking brakes and we are ready to shut this aircraft down. Just making sure the cowl flaps are fully open. Flaps are fully up there. Cabin pressure still going on well here. Okay, taxi lights can come off and all the heats are off. That's fantastic. Now let's go ahead and shut down our engine here. We can start with the right engine, pull the mixture there, pull that to feather, cut the throttle. That will get rid of the air compressor, the AC compressor as well. We'll do the same with the left engine. There we go. Okay, fantastic. That is done. Let's turn off our magnetos there, turn off the generators there, turn that off there, turn this off right here. And is there anything else to turn off? Beacon lights can come off. We can also turn that to low, turn that to off, pull that on. Now this releases the valve here, which means outside temperature can come in. This is what we have basically just done here. Can release the pressure, although I don't recommend this is how you exactly do it, but it's fine. All right, once that is all done, we can go ahead and make sure that the fuel selectors are off if you like. There we go, that's all off. Everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be. And we can turn off the batteries. Okay. And there you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you want, you can put the covers back on here as well from the tablet or using the walk around mode. So let's do it using the walk around mode here. You can come here, put the chocks back on. There we go. You can do the same with the engine covers and the pitot tube covers. Okay. I hope you guys found that little tutorial there useful. If you did, please leave a like, consider subscribing to the channel. Please go ahead and check out my other tutorials where I just try to get through as quickly as possible and help you guys get in the air and enjoy your aircrafts as fast as possible. Just from a casual flight simming point of view, nothing that's true to life, but nonetheless, a very enjoyable balance in my opinion. So if you guys enjoyed that tutorial, make sure you leave a like, make sure you consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall catch you guys in the next video. Once again, bye bye.